Mallory, every year on TexasFootball.com, this time of year, here in January, we take a little break after football season. We come back, we run the numbers. That's right. We get the numbers, we throw them into the big computer, and we try to answer the question. It's probably the question that we get the most, which is, hey, so who are like the best teams in Texas high school football? Do you get that? Like whenever people find out what you do for a living and like they try to make small talk, but they don't actually know anything about high school football, they're like, so like who are the best teams?
I get a lot of like, oh, so how's Duncanville this year?
Yeah.
How's DeSoto? And I'm like, how's Katy?
They know like three teams.
Correct.
Right. And so what we wanted to do was come up with a comprehensive overall measure of how these teams stack up. All of them stack up. And so what we came up with was the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Program Rankings. And this is the 7th year that we've done them. This is the 2025 Program Rankings. And a little bit about how this works. Let's go ahead and put the first graphic up. A little bit about how the program rankings work. This is ranking the relative strength of the UIL Texas high school football programs over the last 6 seasons, okay? So this is not a measurement of, like, how you are all time, okay? Of course, programs like Highland Park is the winningest program in Texas high school football history. They have the most wins in Texas high school football history. They'll always have the most wins because they've been playing since time immemorial. This is only a measurement of the last 6 seasons. And you may say, well, why 6 seasons? And that's a fair question. The reason that we do 6 seasons is because that represents 1.5 graduation cycles, okay? So really, it will mitigate the impact of a single transcendent class of athletes, okay? If you've got one out-of-control, like, class, and they go out there and they are absolutely dominant, then they will only be able to impact it for so long. In short, good programs will have great teams for a couple of years, but great programs will have great teams spread across a larger swath of time. That's why we go with 6 years as our measuring stick. And the rankings are based on a formula which is comprised of 5 criteria. And I think all of these should make sense, okay? The number of games you won, okay? So like the raw number of games that you won, okay? Out of the maximum number possible. So, for example, if you're an 11-man team, the most number of games you can win in 6 games is 96 games, okay? If you're a 6-man team, the maximum number of games you can win in 6 years is 90. Winning percentage. That's pretty obvious. What percentage of the games do you win? I don't think I'm breaking any ground here. How many 10-win seasons do you have? Because to me, and certainly push back on this, Mallory, if you disagree, I think if you win 10 games in a season, I think that was a good year.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think there's any program in Texas that would look at a 10-win season and say, thumbs down, right? That's a quality season.
Oh, yeah. Especially for like how some of these teams play, like in the like pre-conference,
exactly,
pre-district,
right. If you get 10 wins, that's a good year, and we're giving you that mark. That is an extra credit there. That is part of our criteria. State championship game appearances is there, and then state championships. Okay, those are the 5 criteria. Now, this is important. Programs must have played all 6 varsity seasons to be eligible. So, for example, if you look at our rankings, Richmond Randall, the reigning 5A Division II state champs, they ain't on there, okay? Neither is Canyon West Plains because they launched
programs.
They played their first varsity pro year in 2022, okay? Wichita Falls Legacy and Wichita Falls Memorial, even though they have history back to Old High and back to Ryder, they are, in our eyes, new programs, and as a result, they are ineligible for these rankings. In our minds, this was their first varsity season. And then you have programs like Booker, okay? Booker has been playing for a while, but Booker last year played an outlaw schedule. They played a non-varsity schedule while they were transitioning to 6-man. And so they will be ineligible for the rankings because they had a non-varsity season in there, okay? So that is how these rankings work. And on Friday, we teased this on social media. We actually released the top 100 of the rankings. We released the top 100 teams in our rankings. If you want to go to the next graphic, we showed, here's top 25.
Well, you put
that's
this
fine.
as number
I
2.
put this. That's fine. Here it is, the top 25 in our Texas high school football program rankings, and you will notice at the very top a change. For the first time in our 7-year history of doing this, Aledo is not number 1. No, the number 1 team in our program rankings, the Gunner Tigers. Gunner has risen to number 1 over 6 years, Mallory. Gunner is 88-6. They have played in 5 state championship games. They have won 4 state titles. Okay?
Yeah, that's a non-negotiable.
Okay? So they edge out Carthage, who is number 2, and they edge out Aledo. The reason is, plain and simple, they made an extra title game.
State championships.
They made 1 extra title game. Each of them have 4 titles in the last 6 years, but they have 1 extra title game. They've made 5 title games in the last 6 years. Carthage and Aledo over only 4. And when you get to the top, these margins are so small. They're so small that one thing like that can make all the difference. Carthage is number 2. They're 85-3 in the last 6 years, and they're second. Mm-hmm. Aledo is 82-7, and they tumbled to third. Okay. You also have 2 new teams in the top 10 there. So I guess I'll read off the top 25. Austin Westlake is number 4. Galena Park North Shore is number 5. Duncanville 6. Franklin number 7. Mart number 8. South Oak Cliff new to the top 10 at number 9. Shiner new to the top 10 at number 10. Gordon now back-to-back 181 state champs up to number 11. Refugio at number 12. Westbrook at number 13. Hawley at 14. Vandegrift all the way up to 15. DeSoto up to 16. Gilmer at 17. Southlake Carroll at 18. Actually, the best team without a title is Southlake Carroll, 18. 19 is Richland Springs. Katy is at 20. Albany's at 21. Malakoff, 22. Columbus at 23. Wimberley's 24. Brock's 25. There's your top 25. And, we can certainly, if you want to argue with these things, the thing you've got to remember here, and people are going to say, well, why is this team ahead of that team? You've got to make sure you're looking at the entirety of the 6 years. That's almost always my answer, okay? The entirety of the 6 years. Because some of these teams, they may have a stinker in there. Like, they may have, 1 year that they weren't very good in that 6 years. And that's what's holding them back. And so, for example, you've got teams that will have 5 years that are incredible, but 1 year that's not very good, and that 1 year is holding them back. This is really a measurement of consistent excellence, and Gunner has been the most consistently excellent program in Texas, I think pretty obviously.
Who holds the state's longest current active winning streak?
I believe that is Gordon. Gordon has won 30 in a row.
Yeah, I figured so.
Gordon's won 30 in a row. And by the way, Gordon is up 34 spots from number 45 up to number 11. If they win another title next year, my guess will be in the top 10. Mm-hmm. So then we release this on, if you want to, we got the complete rankings on TexasFootball.com. We released the top 100 on our social media. These are the top 100 programs. They're in alphabetical order. You can see where they're ranked, but you can see these are the 100 programs that comprise our top 100. We've got all of them ranked from 1 through 1,216. There are ties, for example. If you are interested, these are the types of things that I think are super interesting. Liberty Hill and Falls City, the exact same resume. Literally the exact same resume. They are both 64-20. They each have 4 10-win seasons. They each have 1 state runner-up finish. Jeez. That's funny to me that 2 programs that you never associate with one another,
resume,
Liberty Hill and Falls City, basically the same program.
Complete different classifications.
Basically the same program. They're entirely the same. And so you can check those out, the complete rankings on TexasFootball.com. Now, one of the things that I love about this is seeing what you can see is where the trajectory is for these programs, which way that they are trending. And so, and remember, it's twofold here. Whenever you put out the new rankings, you have, yes, you're onboarding what you did in 2024, But also what's happening is you're dropping off 2018, right? Last year was 2018 through 2023. This year is 2019 through 2024. So the 2018 season is cycling off. For example, that is why Galena Park North Shore is down 3 spots. It's because that 2018 title cycled off, and they did not replace it with a title. You know what I mean? So as a result, it's really fascinating to see which teams are moving. So these are the teams that made the biggest leap in the rankings. Okay, Palestine Westwood is the biggest mover. Palestine Westwood made an enormous leap. They are up 459 spots to 985th. Or I'm sorry, to 526th. They were 985th last year. And the reason why is pretty easy to explain.
Kavion Bryant?
They were 1-9 in 2018. Okay? They were 1-9 in 2018. They're replacing it with an 11-1 season. So you're taking a terrible year and you're replacing it with a great one. The same goes, by the way, for Saginaw. Saginaw was in the bottom 50 programs in Texas. Okay? 1,165. They were one of the 50 worst programs in Texas. And they dropped off an 0-10, and they replaced it with a 11-1. Like, those types of things matter. Grand Saline improved 421 spots because they took a terrible 2018 and replaced it with a great 2024-5. Same thing with Overton. Overton was in the thousands. They're now kind of middle of the pack in Texas high school football. And Whiteface. Whiteface is fascinating. That right there is the power of making a title game. Okay? Whiteface was kind of a middle-of-the-road program. They make it to a state championship game and zoom into the top 200. Okay?
Well, and it's fun to look at all these programs, too, and see why this is, right? Is it like a new coach? Is it a star quarterback? You know, it's kind of fun to determine why they're so much on the rise. Right?
Whiteface is fascinating to me because if you look at this is a program that in 2018 they went 1-9, so they're dropping off a 1-9, and they're replacing it with, in the last 2 years, they went 11-1 last year, and now they go, I think they went 14-1. Okay, and a title game appearance. So a huge leap of more than 400 spots for the Antelopes. Of course, there are programs that are on the other side of this that wish they could have 2018 back. And the top spot here, I think, is really telling. Beaumont Westbrook is the largest faller in our rankings, okay? They're down 462 spots. And the reason is that title game, that loss to Longview in that 2018 title game, falls off. That they no longer get credit for that season, and they're replacing it with a relatively forgettable 2024 season where they go 0-10. So they're replacing a state championship appearance with a winless season. That's how you drop almost 500 spots. Same goes with Mission Veterans Memorial. Mission Veterans Memorial, you're cycling off the Landry Gilpin years, and you're cycling on some more leaner years. Mansfield Lake Ridge, down into the thousands. Celeste, down 300 spots. And then San Antonio O'Connor, down almost 300 spots. So I think this is a fascinating just kind of bellwether of like where these programs are trending. And these programs that, again, 6 years ago, Beaumont Westbrook playing for a state championship. Now, leaner times have come to the Golden Triangle, and you see that kind of reflected in the rankings. So you can find our 2025 Texas high school football program rankings on texasfootball.com. It's really interesting to dig into and see where kind of the wind is blowing and where your team is. For example, I can tell you that the highest rated team among the Texas high school, or I'm sorry, the Dave
staff.
Campbell staff is Llano.
Is it really?
114th.
Awesome.
Llano's 114th. Now, I will say this.
Where?
Little old Coppell.
Coppell's got to be up there.
190th. Up into the top 200.
Lake Dallas has got to be up there, too.
Lake Dallas. Lake Dallas is 499th.
Okay.
499th.
Where's my team?
Where's Arlington? Arlington, 565th.
Okay.
They're 35-33 over the last 6 years.
Okay.
So there you go. The Texas High School Football Program rankings, you find them on TexasFootball.com. Dig into those, and you can debate them among your friends.